Welcome, everybody, to this second segment in the Journey Smarter in September series. I'm Kelly Robert, the UBT Journey Program Manager, and our guest today is Jennifer Donovan from Hy-Vee. She's the Hy-Vee registered dietitian. She's good stuff. She's helped us many times before, and her presentations are always a big hit. So we're excited to have her as she talks about smarter meal prep for one or two. And we'll just let Jen jump in and see what she has to say. Thank you for coming, Jennie.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back, Kelly. I know I've talked to your group before, and I always enjoy the engagement that I have with your participants. So I want to keep this kind of open-ended. So please, at any time, use the chat box to ask questions. We don't have to wait to the end. If you have a comment that you want to share with everyone else, please do, because I don't have all the answers. I love learning from my customers and clients. So maybe I'll learn something from you guys today. So our topic today is just eating smarter for smaller households. Sorry, you think after a year and a half of using Zoom? Okay. There's my toggle bar. Okay. So kind of the objectives that we wanted to do today is I want to provide you guys with some tools to be successful with meal planning, finding some inspiration for new ideas for meals and snacks, because sometimes we can get in a rut of just eating the same stuff over and over. And then if you've seen that first bullet point right there, plan quick and nutritious meals, well, that term nutritious and nutrition can mean different things to different people. So the working definition that we're going to use today is, are your meals balanced? Do they provide moderation? And do they provide that variety? So just kind of think back to the things you've maybe eaten in the last 24 hours or in the last few days. Do your meals and snacks provide that variety, moderation, and balance? So when we are working, so I've been a Hy-Vee dietitian for a long time. And when I'm in the aisles, when I'm working with patients in my office, there's a lot of challenges if you are a smaller household. And maybe you're a smaller household because you're an empty nester. The kids have left home. Maybe you are divorced or widowed. So sometimes it's just new challenges trying to prepare meals and snacks for a smaller household. So some of those challenges and obstacles could be that there's just no time. Maybe you're just so busy. Maybe your social life has increased dramatically since you retired. So there was really no time to eat. Maybe you find yourself going through the drive-thru more than you want. Maybe there's just a lack of interest in cooking anymore. You've cooked for your kids maybe their whole life, and now you're just done with that chapter in your life. You're done in the kitchen. Maybe you're lonely because of the circumstances that I already said earlier. Maybe you don't know how to prepare smaller meals for a smaller household. Maybe you are still in the kitchen and you're preparing mounds of food for no one that's there anymore. Maybe you don't have a routine. Maybe you're sleeping in later because you're staying up later because maybe you are retired and you don't have anywhere that you need to be. Sometimes, especially during this pandemic, when we don't have a routine, sometimes we are just in the kitchen, looking in the fridge and the cupboard and doing some mindless eating. So I do want to address that today. And as you get older, maybe there's some new health conditions that you weren't aware of or weren't expecting, like diabetes or heart disease. And then two, another thing to consider too, is I oftentimes work with people that just have limited cooking skills, especially if they are newly widowed. Maybe their spouse was always the one that did the cooking, and maybe they just don't know how to cook. So, Hy-Vee has some really nice club room space that sometimes when a client is coming to make an appointment with me, that's what we do. We just go up to the kitchen and kind of learn some foundational cooking skills. So if you guys aren't kind of used to meal planning, or it's been a while, I always like to say this is a really good place to start, just because if you fail to plan, then you're going to plan to fail. So when you meal plan, there's kind of steps that we go through. So you always want to start with a meal plan. And, maybe you're going to put menus and recipes on your meal plan that you just like to eat, like tacos, spaghetti, grilled meats. I always encourage people to kind of inventory what's in their pantry and fridges first, or their deep freezes, just because a lot of times we stash food away there and we can forget about it, right? But if you shop what's already in your home, that can be a good budget saving tip. And then shopping ads can also kind of give you that inspiration, or looking to food bloggers. Hy-Vee has some excellent cooking guides on their website under the recipe section. Maybe you're just going to talk to friends. Maybe they have some really great recipes they tried. The meat counter, especially if you're a smaller household, I really like to walk my customers back over to the meat department, because if you're stuck in a rut, it's really easy just to look at the meat counter and be like, I'm going to have marinated chicken breasts for dinner on Monday. I'm going to have a steak kebab from the meat counter on Tuesday. Wednesday might be a stuffed pork chop. And then you just pair it with a frozen or fresh veggie and a whole grain, and there's your meal. Some food blogs that I like are Thriving Home, or what's the other one? Skinny Taste. Both those food bloggers put out a weekly meal plan with the recipes. So again, if you kind of need some inspiration, you could look to them. And then I kind of always leave the aisles online to do the shopping for me, because then I do some of the prep at home. And so kind of the meal prep tools that maybe will help you with the meal planning. I don't know if any of you guys have a pressure cooker or an air fryer, but if you wanted to ask me any questions about those, you can certainly type that in the chat. We use our air fryer and pressure cooker quite a bit. And I would say back on the meal planning, if you don't put that on your rotation, then those appliances are probably just going to sit in your cupboard. So you kind of have to make sure that you have a recipe for the week that's going to use those appliances. Especially in the winter, we try to do a lot of soups and stews, because the leftovers freeze really nice, and those are nice to do in the pressure cooker. I love my air fryer for roasted cauliflower and broccoli. We always have a sheet pan meal. Also, that's easy to control those portion sizes. So on the sheet pan, everything's going to cook at the same time. And if you need recipes for that, you could simply do a Google search or go to Hy-Vee.com. So everything's cooking at once. It's really minimal dishes that you're going to get dirty to clean up afterwards. So, and you can control, again, how much you're putting on the tray to feed your smaller family. Likewise, with the muffin tins, you can also control individual serving sizes. So maybe instead of making a loaf pan of meatloaf, you're going to put the meatloaf into the muffin tins. And there you have an individual serving that if you're not going to eat everything at that meal, it's really easy to wrap it up and put it in the freezer for later. And you can do the same thing with like egg muffins, or just even like a healthy veggie muffin. I know we're using a lot of zucchini up in our garden right now, so I've been making a lot of cocoa zucchini muffins.
Jennie?
Yes.
We have a question. What size air fryer would you recommend for a single person?
Oh, you know what? I like the air fryers that just have a little drawer. And so air fryers and pressure cookers kind of came hot on the market around the same time. And I know we initially went with a pressure cooker because I have a family of 6. So the air fryer was just too small at that time to, feed everybody at once. I didn't want to be at the counter doing batch cooking all night. So that's why we went with the pressure cooker. But now they do make larger size air fryers. But again, if you're a smaller household, I like the air fryers that just have a drawer that you can probably put like a 4-ounce cut of meat and some vegetables.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah. So again, remember when I was talking earlier about that mindless eating? So one strategy that you can use to kind of counter that is by using a hunger scale. And I have more of that on the next slide. So we'll jump there in a minute. But also just maybe it's how you're snacking. So if you kind of tend to munch more on just empty carbs or empty calorie foods, try to choose a complex carbohydrate. And I mean complex carbohydrate like a whole grain or a fruit or a vegetable because they have some of that fiber. That's really going to provide that satiety along with some protein. So, if you have like, like a cookie. Okay, that's a simple carbohydrate. That's probably going to spike your blood sugar and then it's going to come crashing down and it's only going to give you like a little bit of satiety for maybe 30 minutes. I know there's a lot of yogurts on the market that are like that. They have more sugar than the good nutrition in them. So though, like yogurts like that, I always am like starving 15 minutes after I finish that yogurt. So again, if you just are choosing like a complex carbohydrate and pairing it with a protein, that's going to slowly raise your blood sugar and keep it steady for a longer duration than that 30 minutes. Maybe your snacking pitfall is just it's too big of a portion. So are you opening up the chip bag and eating out of the chip bag or the popcorn bag or the cracker bag? So maybe portioning things out. And if you need to, maybe just your rule of thumb is you're going to buy snacks that are already individually packaged, like the nuts, like granola bars, like even crackers come in little individual packages or popcorn. And then buyer beware. You know what? Again, if you just have a bad habit of mindlessly eating snacks, especially specific kind of snacks, just don't bring them into your household. And that kind of works better if you're a smaller household because you're not catering to lots of different people's taste. Okay, so here's the hunger scale that I pulled off. So we use this tool quite a bit in counseling. And I encourage a lot of my customers sometimes to post this in the fridge. You open it at the fridge and there it is. You can post it on the outside of the fridge, in the pantry, on the cupboard, wherever you find yourself mindlessly eating. So this is your visual cue to stop and kind of look to see your true hunger level. All right. So obviously you don't want to eat past, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. Okay, you kind of want to start being hungry and eating at a hungry level of 3 or 4. And you definitely don't want to wait until you're 1 or 2, where you're kind of that hangry, don't touch me, don't look at me because I need to eat, right? So kind of that 3 or 4 is the best level of hunger to have a snack or a meal at. This is kind of a boring version of the hunger scale, but there's some fun versions if you Google. I just couldn't find like a reputable place I didn't want to get in trouble with copyright. So again, kind of just going back on that smart snacking, some of these do list that complex carbohydrate with that protein. Or some of these are oftentimes snacks that you can also buy in smaller packages. The last bullet point there, oftentimes that my customers, it's not uncommon to want to have a bedtime snack or an after meal snack, and usually it's ice cream. So I have listed there some healthier alternatives. The Dove dark ice cream, they come in like a little, maybe 3-inch size. And I think one of those little dark ice cream, dark chocolate bars is 60 or 80 calories. So a lot of times my customers will have one or two. The Yasso bars are just a higher protein ice cream bar, or the Edie's whole fruit bars. I love those because they have such an intense fruit flavor that's not artificially flavored. So another strategy, if you have a smaller household, is to cook once and eat twice. And you guys might be familiar with that term. So you're just going to cook more than what you need, and then you're going to eat it sometime else, the next day for lunch or dinner or later in the week. So let's say tonight you're going to have grill some steak and have a baked potato with some roasted vegetables. Well, tomorrow that leftover steak, you could use it for steak burritos, steak tacos, or there's a really awesome recipe out there called addictive Brussels sprout salad. And we'll make this at home and we'll put some leftover steak on there. So you just shave Brussels sprouts and then you make a really yummy kind of Dijon dressing for it. It's just so good. So then just learn to love leftovers. And that's, again, just kind of the same principle as, cook once, eat twice. What can you do with leftovers? How can you repurpose them? If you have that leftover grilled meat, you can put it in soups or casseroles, just different kind of Mexican-inspired cuisines. If you have leftover roasted vegetables, those work really good in a frittata, or you can puree it in like a blender and add it to marinara sauce. And then leftover pasta or rice can also be made into a casserole. And then again, just kind of along with the lines of meal planning, have a plan for produce. So, try earlier in the week, you could eat the fresh stuff, and then later in the week, you could have the frozen or the canned. And there's really no difference between fresh, canned, or frozen. We say that they all count. The only slight difference is the fresh versus canned. Sometimes the canned has the skin of things removed. So then you're not getting the fiber in that peach or pear. We don't have that much longer a farmer's market. So if you haven't been to one this summer, I would just encourage you to go out there to get a lot of food inspiration, especially for colorful vegetables. And then it kind of does matter where you keep your vegetables at and your fruit. So if you bring it home and it goes in your crisper, a lot of times it just doesn't get used or it gets forgotten. So maybe moving your produce up to more of that eye level. So every time you open up the fridge, you remember that you need to use it, or that's what you're going to grab for healthy snacking, or how can you tuck some of those produce into a meal? And then just some other strategies for picking healthy fruits and vegetables. The vegetables should be low sodium. Fruit should be in light syrup or in its own juices. And then here's kind of a challenge right now. I was telling Kelly before the presentation that my husband and I have a goal in September not to spend hardly any money at all on groceries. We do need to buy some milk and some fresh fruit here and there, but I feel like we have hordes of food. So we're just challenging ourselves to how many meals can we come up with, what's in our stash before we have to go to the grocery store. But you know what? This is kind of like that. So if this is your basis for a grocery list, just look at those pictures that I have there. How many meals can you come up with just using those? And you know what? They're whole food based. There are not a lot of processed foods on that list. A lot of them meet most of your food groups. I know that I'm missing fruit on there, but you could have a taco bowl with the rice and the beans and the ground meat. You could have a tuna salad sandwich at lunch or a tuna melt. You could have eggs and potatoes for breakfast. You could have oatmeal for breakfast. So And then just kind of some other smart shopping tips, stick to the budget or stick to the list. And that's kind of why I like to do that online shopping, because I don't get distracted by the shiny new foods in the store. I'm definitely a foodie person. So I can probably tend to overbuy different foods. And I never take my kids to the grocery store. So maybe if you take grandkids to the store, maybe stop that practice. I know my grocery cart can fill up pretty quick. But online shopping, it makes a list. So you're sticking to your list. Don't shop when you're hungry, shop with cash. So I know you guys probably have talked about budget in these series. So again, if you're going to bring $100 to the store, I mean, that's your limit. You don't have your card in your pocket. Use a smaller cart. So again, you're not filling it too full. Just avoid like any Starbucks or Caribou, because that can easily waste $5. And then healthy eating out tips. So I know that I said earlier in the presentation, maybe your lifestyle has changed. You're retired, you're on the go more often, and you're finding yourself visiting fast food places a little bit more than you would like, or even if you go out for friends, to sit down restaurant more than you ever have before. What are some healthier options you can choose on the menu? So grilled chicken sandwiches are always a great idea. You could go light on the sauces. And if you aren't driving a vehicle, maybe if you're kind of carb conscious, you could just remove half of the bun too. Bean burritos are always cheap at drive-thrus, and they're a little bit kinder on calories. Or hard tacos. I really like breakfast sandwiches made on an English muffin rather than a croissant or some type of other roll. Just even ordering from the kids menu, or a single cheeseburger, not a double, triple cheeseburger. If you guys do pizza, doing a thin crust or loading it up with a veggie lovers, even like at a sandwich place, can you do the vegetarian? And again, just talking about portion sizes, even sharing a plate with somebody. Sometimes restaurants will charge you a small, like $5 for doing that shared plate. And then just avoiding some extras that can contribute a lot of calories, like soda, juices, French fries, the potato wedges, the hash browns, the breadsticks, the bread basket, the chips and dip, chips and salsa. So things like that. Okay. I have some questions, I think. Let me just.
You do have some questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have. Someone would like a printout of the hunger scale and wondering if there's somewhere that they could obtain that, like the Hy-Vee website or.
Oh, what's at the Hy-Vee website? The hunger scale?
The hunger scale.
Oh, you know what? If you just do a Google search and type in hunger scale, it'll pop right up.
Great. Okay. And the next question is, can store buyers be encouraged to stock smaller portioned items, 8 or 10 ounces versus 16, for example? Or the meat department may be packaging 2 pork chops or chicken breasts or 1 chicken quarter. But it's difficult to have the butchers package items in small quantities.
Yeah, and I think that's true. And I think Hy-Vee is more able to pivot than other competitors to kind of be more accommodating for things like that. I know, for example, if you wanted to buy, so again, I can't speak to maybe how this has changed with some COVID changes, but before, like if you were a small household and you didn't want to buy an entire watermelon or cantaloupe, you could easily ask any of our produce guys to cut it in half and just sell you half that, like wrap it up in the back, and they could put a price on there and sell you just half. I have seen smaller size loaves of bread, and not necessarily back in the bakery, but just some of the bigger bread companies are starting to do half loaves. Another nice product that really came out is frozen garbanzo beans and black beans, just because it's hard if you're a small household to open a 14, 15 ounce can of beans. but I like those frozen options because then you're just going to use what you need and then you can put the rest back in the freezer. So,
Sure.
yeah. Okay. Did that answer the question? Okay.
I think they did, and I'm sorry I cut you off.
Oh, no, that's fine.
The next question was, do you have a meal plan app that you like? If so, can you store recipes and create a shopping list on it? And this is a multi-part question. And we'll create a shopping list. Can you move the shopping list to the online shopping to save adding the item to the virtual cart? So they want a smart shopping list, or meal plan and list.
So you can do, some of those features are available with our Aisles Online with the app. And I know that Aisles Online will also save your history of what you shopped for. So it's easy just to go back in and put things back into your cart. And there is a way that you can kind of upload ingredients from recipes automatically into your cart too. And I actually haven't played around too much with that feature. Just because I tend to kind of just buy the same things over and over. But the other dietitians have told me that you can do that. And then actually in some of our events and cooking class initiatives, we've done that work for customers where they can just, if they need ingredients for a cooking class we're hosting, they can just take that list and upload it to the app.
Great, thanks. I also have a request for you to please repeat the food blogs that you like, Jennie.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm back. I don't like to see myself live present. I'm like in the camera. So let me just stop this video because I want to do this product showcase with you guys. But yeah, I like a thriving home or Skinny Taste. And they put out that weekly meal plan. So that's, again, was like some really nice inspiration. Okay, so I promised you guys, I pulled some products off the shelf to kind of give you some more inspiration of what to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. Again, this is the part of my job that I like being that retail dietitian. So let's kind of start with breakfast. So oatmeal. I really like oatmeal for breakfast. Again, it's more economical to do oatmeal in the canister, but there are some healthy alternatives. So I like this higher fiber oatmeal. It has less carbs and less added sugar, as well as increased fiber. So again, it helps regulate your blood sugar. Or Quaker makes a protein one that kind of does the same thing. They used to have a protein and fiber one, not fiber one brand, but protein plus fiber. And I really haven't seen that lately. So I'm not sure if that's been discontinued or not. So kind of going on the trend of oatmeal, I have a dietitian confession to make. I do not like overnight oats. Okay. I've never made it where it's not too mushy. I just don't like the texture. So this is but it's healthy, right? So this is my remedy. Something that I like better is I use this Bob's Red Mill muesli. And they also make this in gluten-free too, which is really nice. This product has 4 grams of protein, which is amazing, 4 grams of fiber, and no added sugar. All right. So it's kind of like a healthy granola, but it's not going to have that crunchy taste. Okay. But I'll add a couple tablespoons of this to this Ziggy's yogurt. And I really like this yogurt because you can pronounce all the ingredients. It's not a crazy color. It's not lime green. I don't think yogurt should be lime green. It only has 3 grams of added sugar and it has 11 grams of protein. So. This is a fun newer product in the freezer department. I know it has the magical word of keto in it, but that's not why I pulled it off. I like it because it has the high fiber berries, but it also has avocados in it. So it gives you like a nice dose of some healthy fat at that breakfast hour. So. And there's nothing wrong with cold cereal. Kind of my tip for cold cereal is just make sure it has at least 3 grams of fiber and at least 3 grams of protein. This Kashi one has 8 grams of fiber and 9 grams of protein, and the carbs are pretty decent on it. It's 35 grams of carbohydrate. So again, if you have anyone with diabetes, this would be like a good option, especially if you pair it with some of that Fairlife milk. Just as you age, you can start to lose lean body mass. And I really like Fairlife milk. It's cow's milk, but it's been ultra pasteurized. So it has a little bit higher protein content, lower carb, which is good again for diabetes. And people who live in smaller households like that milk too, because it has a longer shelf life than just regular gallon cow's milk.
Great. We have another breakfast question if you're ready.
Oh, sure.
I am sensitive to texture, so granola, etc. are out for me. Do you have any other suggestions?
For like a cereal or grain-based in the morning? I guess.
She doesn't say, but it's when you were talking about the muesli and yogurt. So
yeah, so you can maybe, if you're looking for like another grain, like I like these protein that have, it's like a toaster waffle with a little bit more protein, especially if you add some peanut butter to it or top it with some Greek yogurt and fresh berries. That would be another way that you could use it. I like the smaller whole grain tortillas. And if you put peanut butter in that and a banana and even some dark chocolate chips and kind of roll it up and then crisp it on your skillet on the stovetop, that makes a really good breakfast too. Kind of something you can hand hold to. I know we could talk for a long time about bread, but one thing that I like to remind people is that sourdough is a great option just because it's a fermented product. So actually fermented products kind of help make the nutrients in bread a little bit more bioavailable. But also if you have any type of gluten sensitivity, you can probably be okay with a fermented bread like sourdough. So this is really good. Sometimes we'll put we'll get a biscuit cutter and make a hole and then crack an egg in it. And it's called a toad in a hole, I think. Or microgreens are wonderful. Microgreens are really good too. You could challenge yourself. Can I have greens every day for breakfast? Okay, that's not something that we usually think about, but we really like to take the toasted sourdough and then make an easy over medium egg, and then top it with some of these microgreens. So. And then just again, if you're a smaller household and you don't want to get out of a skillet to make eggs in the morning, you could do something like this egg cup, or you can do the same thing like this that's more economical, budget friendly, just in a microwavable coffee mug that you spray, crack an egg in, maybe a splash of milk, some vegetables, maybe you have garden vegetables you can use, and you put it in the microwave just until it's not so runny in the middle. And there you have a egg omelet. So snacks, again, just kind of focusing on that protein, hard-boiled eggs. Again, these are nice, they're already done for you. These are really nice. Hard-boiled eggs can be done in your pressure cooker too. Trail mixes, again, have that complex carbohydrate and protein. I like the Hy-Vee brand of protein bars. If you're on the go and you take a baggie full of pretzels or some apple slices, you can bring these, oh, that looks damaged. You can bring some of these peanut butter cups on the go and you just crack it open and then dip your pretzels or apples in there. So lunch, every brand of frozen entree company has their own version of a power bowl. Okay, so I think not healthy choice. It must be Lean Cuisine actually calls it a power bowl, but everyone has their own version. And what I like about them, usually they're not so high in sodium. Definitely you can find ones less than 500, which is my benchmark. They have the whole grains in them. Oftentimes they use the non-starchy vegetables, complex carbohydrates, and lean meats. Okay. A lot of them use plant-based proteins too. Like this one has beans in it. So lunch, I really like this roasted red pepper tomato soup. It's light in sodium. So again, you know, if you kind of can keep that, if you have to have a sodium restriction, keeping a meal less than 500 milligrams of sodium. So. Oh, and I should say they make this in a smaller size too. So one of my favorite like high energy lunches that I always like feel like I have sustained energy for the rest of the afternoon is a tuna pouch. If you don't have to watch sodium, you can get a flavored one. And then I like to mix that with a mashed avocado. You can even add a little bit of mayo if you want. And then dip it with either, you know, you could use the fresh veggies like red pepper strips, celery, or like a whole grain cracker. I'm kind of into these thin and crispy Triscuits right now. I love Triscuits, but sometimes my customers don't like Triscuits because they're too hard, but these are like thinner and they're still made with that whole grain. So again, another easy lunch, picked rotisserie chicken is nice. You can make chicken salad sandwiches or make a wrap with it. This is really nice, quick way to add protein to a soup or a stew too. Again, if you're a smaller household, and maybe you didn't know about this, but they make frozen brown rice. I've been a retail dietitian for a long time, and one area of growth that I've noticed in the retail world is the explosion of different kinds of frozen vegetables and frozen vegetable blends that are on the market, especially vegetable blends with whole grains. So that's really nice. Again, if you don't like to chop onions, they do make frozen onions. Not a lot of people know about this little secret tucked away in the frozen foods department, but great little thing to keep on hand in your freezer. When I was talking about sheet pan meals, shrimp is nice. Seafood is actually great too for like a smaller household because the fish fillets are often packed in little individual bags. So you can just take out what you need. Or like if you're going to have a sheet pan meal with shrimp, you just use what you need on the sheet pan out of the bag. So, and this one it's wild caught, but it's already peeled in the vein. So when I was talking about the air fryer and making that broccoli and cauliflower, I just often pick up a bag of already chopped up for me broccoli and cauliflower. So again, when we talk about budget, obviously the cheapest way is going to be the cauliflower or broccoli head that you buy and put in a bag and take home and prep. This would be in the middle of the road. And then the most expensive option would be in our shortcuts department section where it's the produce already prepped for you. You can buy whole grains that are already cooked. You just kind of have to re-steam them. So this is like a quinoa blend, and then this is just plain rice. Another really fun way to get vegetables in is just, I like this chopped kale. And then a lot of times at the beginning of the week, we'll just put it into a plastic container and put this in. And because it's such a hearty piece of leaf lettuce, you can go ahead and add the dressing. This isn't economical, but one of the brands that I'm really crazy about right now is this Green God or Primal Kitchen. And I like the Green Goddess one. So I make a Green Goddess salad with this, the kale, the Green Goddess salad dressing, the green pepitas, which are the green pumpkin seeds, and then pistachios. So if you need a little bit of sweetness, you could do like a dried cherry or a dried cranberry. That would be really good. And the last thing I think I have to show you is just these whole grain, small individual pizza crust. and there's 5 in there, but again, you can kind of just take out what you need and have an individual pizza for dinner. Load it with some garden vegetables, or we'll do we'll cut up like red pepper, green, red, orange, yellow, dice it, put it on there with a little bit of olive oil. I guess I put Laughing Cow cheese as the base, then put my peppers on there, then sprinkle it with some low-fat feta and some sliced purple onions, and then I just bake it. So it's kind of like a little gourmet, healthy pizza. Oh, and then I top it with some fresh basil from our garden. So
That sounds delicious. I have a couple questions for you if you're ready.
Yeah, go for it.
Does Hy-Vee have the Ziggy Yogurt? And I believe they do, because I think I bought it there.
Yeah, we do. And each store is set up a little bit different. So some have it over in like their health market dairy section. Some have it back by the regular dairy section of the store. So
Great, thank you. We also have a gentleman who would like to know if you have ideas from all of the small wrappings.
yeah, you're totally right. So, I mean, one way is you just visiting farmers markets where you're putting things into your own bag. You can buy, and then if you still have to like cut up things and freeze things, I like to use those reusable plastic Ziploc bags that are washable. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know if they have an official name. Even just recycling. I think Lincoln still does an awesome job of recycling. I know other communities have kind of eliminated their recycling program, but I like to think Lincoln is a little bit more environmentally friendly than other communities, and just recycling.
Thanks. Your suggestions are just awesome. I'm wondering, just as a favor to me, if you could talk about one time when you did for us a journey presentation where we went to the store, anyone who registered, and you did the meal prep. You did the little pork roast that was just the right size for just for like 2 people. And it was a bacon wrapped pork roast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you mind just sharing that? Yeah.
Oh, just share the recipe?
Yeah. Just how you do it.
Oh, yeah. So you guys, this is like a really easy recipe that kind of makes you feel like you're eating gourmet, but you just get a pork loin. And again, if you buy it from the meat counter, they can kind of cut one to your size, or, sometimes we have those great big pork loins on sale. You don't have to buy the whole thing. You can get up to the meat counter and just ask them to, slice it into thirds or even 6 if you're a smaller household. So you just take what you need and you poke it with a fork, and you just spread it with some pesto sauce, and then you just put bacon on it. So the pork loin is definitely a leaner cut of meat, but that bacon fat kind of keeps it moist while it's cooking. So that's kind of all you do. It's pretty simple.
And it was incredible.
Good.
In fact, that's one of my go-tos now.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yeah. And that's really easy to make ahead of time and just stick in the freezer too.
You have lots of those. If you've not used Jennie's services at Hy-Vee, and I'm going to ask her to tell a little bit about them, I would recommend that you do so. You'll get so many ideas from her.
Yeah. And, probably one of our most requested services is just walking the aisles with people based on a specific health condition. Maybe you're just newly diagnosed. Maybe you've had diabetes for a long time and now you're finally ready to get serious about eating right for diabetes. So just walking you up and down the aisles, kind of just doing like a mini version of what I just did now, but much more expanded in the aisles and tailored toward your needs. So like, if you don't like the texture of granola in the morning, what else can we find for you? So just kind of opening up your mind to getting out of the rut and what else is out there. I mean, this month we had free cholesterol screenings that's wrapping up. So in November, we'll probably do complimentary A1C screening because that's diabetes month. So you guys can look for that. I'm just, I get referrals from physicians. I like Hy-Vee dietitians because they're easily accessible. Sometimes if your doctor says go see a dietitian, you don't really know where to start. So, we're right here in the aisles. So.
Great. Thank you for doing that. We have a two-part question. Which Hy-Vee stores have nutritional services and where does Jennie work?
Yeah, so I cover all the Lincoln stores. So if you go to any Lincoln Hy-Vee store web page, you can find my contact information there. And I should have said that earlier, but probably you'll see a phone number and an email listed. And I would definitely encourage you to reach out via email because that phone number is a Des Moines number. It goes to a voicemail and I end up playing phone tag a lot of times with people. So probably email is the very best way to reach me.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, if you're in Omaha, absolutely. There's 3 dietitians up there that service the Omaha area, and go to any of your store page and you'll see how to contact that dietitian. And COVID kind of made us, it really pushed us into the telemedicine world. So what's great about being on this team of dietitians is now we can refer out to the dietitians on our team that have more of a specialty in an area. So maybe it's renal or kidney stones, or even like eating disorders is pretty huge right now and pretty sad just as a result of COVID. So, there's dietitians on our team that kind of have these little niches and specialty areas.
Okay, there's a question about cost to the consumer.
Yep, I am a Medicare provider, so I can see we can bill for Medicare for certain types of diseases, or I can bill United Healthcare, or if you guys have a flex spending or an HSA, our services are covered under that too.
Thank you. And a request for the email again, please. And if you want to give it to me, I can type it in the chat.
Oh yeah, here, I'll just type it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm typing it, but it's really like small letters. Are you seeing that? Or, oh no, it came out okay. Yeah. So my
it's all good.
jdonovan@hi-, don't forget the -b.com. So.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Does anybody else have questions for Jennie? You're all wondering what you're going to go cook or what you're going to buy and cook. Getting lots of thank yous. As always, Jennie, thank you. Oh, do you recommend containers for things?
I don't think I understand the question, but I did grab like these containers. We make a lot it's just a medium twist top. I don't know, it says 2, but we make a lot of mason jar salads using these are nice to package up leftovers. They're freezer friendly, BPA free, so they uphold really well. But
perfect. Thanks. Well, I think, do we have something maybe for the attendees?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. Hey, so after the presentation, I think Kelly has a way to communicate with those who signed up. And I did have a handout of just more tips and some recipes of cooking for 1 or 2. So I think it has 3 or 4 recipes on there. And then it also has like a little conversion chart. So if you're trying to pare recipes down or cut them in half, like how you would do that. And then kind of a little chart on cooking once, eating twice. So
fantastic. Yeah, sure. Well, that you did that for me when I forgot to remind folks to use the chat feature. So good thing we have each other's backs. And I will email those out to you. Thank you so much, Jennie, for all your great ideas today. We I always learn so much from you, and I know that our attendees do also. Um, go see Jennie at Hy-Vee, and will you come back and see us again
Yeah,
later in the year or
absolutely.
next year? Great.
Yeah, next year. Yeah, that's right around the corner, huh?
It sure is. It sure is. When I said later in the year, I thought, oh, that's probably not going to happen, but next year. So thanks so much again. And thanks to all of you for giving up part of your Tuesday afternoon. We will see you next week, and give us a minute, and then we'll have this posted on the Journey webpage for you. Take care, everybody.